Hi everybody, welcome to Eating Peace. So somebody wrote to me and asked me a question about doing the work, noticing what your thoughts and feelings are about actually food and eating in the moment of craving, and then doing the work on that, like on the eating. In other words, what that means by doing the work is the first thing that you do in the process of the work, meaning the work of Byron Katie, questioning your stressful beliefs, is you identify what it is you're actually thinking. The interesting thing about looking at food directly, just looking at food and seeing what you think about it, is I notice there's tons of judgments on certain kinds of foods. These foods are bad. These foods are good. These new foods need to be eaten in very limited quantities, right? These are healthy. I'm a good person if I eat these foods, and I'm a bad person if I do that thing over there. And I need to be limited or controlled, and so I'm going to just eat these foods that don't set off cravings or whatever. Anyway, it goes on and on about all the ideas and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that you have about certain kinds of foods. Those can be pretty interesting in some ways to look, like looking at a bowl of ice cream, looking at it and really staring at it and then sitting with it, or looking at bread or something that you notice you get strong cravings for. I mean, the same kinds of things are typical for people all the time to get cravings for. And then seeing what it is you actually think about that food. What do you believe? What have you learned? What have people told you? And then maybe you had an experience where you ate and ate a whole bunch of it. And so from then on, you remember that experience, like, wow, something really got set off. I just loved that thing. And there was so much physiological craving and kind of emotional experience with that food. And now you think that's true for the rest of your life. You have the experience again. The next time you eat that thing, you notice you stuff your face. And then these other things like broccoli or raw carrots, you don't eat too many of those. Those are just all good. But these certain foods are difficult. The only thing is stopping right there. So that, in any case, is fabulous to look at those judgments and really question those beliefs. Could that be untrue? Are you sure? Are you positive that's right? Are you sure that fits for your body? Really? What if you didn't know? What if you were here without that belief? You didn't think something was bad or something was good. You just let it be the way it is. That can all be really interesting and kind of cool to look at. It can kind of melt some of the stress if you really kind of look at everything with very fresh eyes. Maybe you have somebody who's a nutritionist that knows a ton, or a doctor, and you kind of just ask them their opinion without, learn the physiology instead of being so emotionally anxious about certain kinds of foods and what they mean about you if you take a bite of them. That is nice to soften that, to not feel so positive. This whole world of food is bad and these things over here are good. Get very anxious. You want to hide the things that are M&Ms you're not allowed to eat, right? And don't ever eat them in front of other people. Or make sure that when people see you eat, you've got a big salad in front of you and that's it. I don't know. So these things, in any case, are interesting to look at. But really, what it comes down to, and while that can change certain aspects of your relationship to eating, I find every single time when I had my worst cravings, the most uncomfortable, the things that felt so terrible and desperate, related to eating and food, it had something to do with something else besides eating. It had nothing to do with the actual food. It had to do with fear, anxiety, sadness, loneliness, grief, trauma, things I didn't want to see, that I wanted to push away and get rid of, or stuff down inside of me. I felt like this sort of desperate, anxious feeling, so I wanted to eat and fill it up. It feels like a big project. It feels like something huge to get through those kinds of large, overwhelming feelings that almost seem like out of control, and I have a wave of anxiety that comes through you. You can't even control it, right? It's like a firecracker of adrenaline. And maybe it's about what other people think of you. Other people are looking, other people are judging, and you're just terrified about what other people think of you. This used to be such a strong feeling for me. I still look at this all the time. I have this chatter in my mind that is noticing, I'm wondering what other people think of me. It's just that it's not debilitating anymore, or I catch it or something. Who knows what's going on? I've questioned. I've actually made contact with people so much more. And you can do this too, asking them genuine questions. What do you think of me? Could I have some feedback? What are you not liking? Or if I don't want to ask people about what they think of me, because that's not required, just stopping the wondering. When people do certain things or act certain ways or move away from you, that it doesn't mean something about you. It's got nothing to do with you. It's like that wonderful agreement in the 4 agreements: don't take anything personally. So I know that's easier said than done, and here's how to begin if you're using the work. What has frightened you in your life? What has made you feel very, very sad, desperate, sleepless? Make a short list so that you don't overwhelm yourself. Put 5 things down, 5 scenes that you remember from your life, from your earliest memory all the way to right now. Just write down 5. They can be the most troubling, difficult, traumatic ones you ever experienced. If you begin to meditate and contemplate on only those 5, your cravings and your experience and your relationship with food will start to shift. Mine was directly related to fear. It had to do with anger, fear, anxiety, depression. Every single time one of those emotional experiences was happening when I wanted to eat. Loneliness, something stressful, something difficult. So, unfortunately, you have to identify them, you have to sit with them and go into them again. But fortunately, you can do it with somebody else. That's one of the reasons why my therapy early on, when I didn't even know about the work of Byron Katie or any other modalities, worked so beautifully. It was like being able to be honest and intimate with another human being and tell them what was really going on. And that's almost all that needed to happen. It brought awareness and connection, and I had contact with another human in the world. And then a whole group in group therapy. Meetings. If you can't afford to go to therapy, go to 12-step meetings. Make contact with the rest of the human race, because you are a human. Even if you think you're really, really separate and unusual, you are unique, definitely. You've had a unique life, but you're connected to everybody. So get with other people. Don't isolate yourself. Begin to do this work. And if you need to do the work of Byron Katie on those 5 things that you identify, you can get help with that too. You can even use the helpline, which is free. Step number 1 is write down all your judgments on a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. Then you've got your situation, just one moment in time, one relationship at a time. And you can begin to examine and investigate that experience that you had in the past and bring it to rest. Anything that ever happened to you, it's possible to find peace with it. Really, I'm serious. The worst things that you can ever imagine, unimaginable things that you think people can't live through, you're alive, you lived through it, you can find peace with it. And when you find peace with that, you're going to begin to find peace with food. I guarantee it. It's worth going through it again and to stop avoiding the experience of that memory. Okay, let me know how it goes.